Explain two ways in which a devaluation can improve a country's balance of payment deficit. Two ways in which a devaluation can improve a balance of payment deficit. So you might want to highlight where's a devaluation and how it can have these effects. Right? So how can a devaluation, so Zane says a devaluation will reduce our currency value, making it cheaper, um, thus would make other countries buy from us, thus increasing our export. There's a lot of thus. So I want you to work on your interconnectivity of your ideas there for them answers, right? But yeah, the where you're coming at is correct. Um, So a devaluation is going to do two things. It's going to, as he said there, firstly, it's going to make our products appear cheaper for our trading partners and other foreigners because the currency has lost value against theirs, resulting in an increase in export. But it has another effect. Care to tell me what is that other effect? How else will devaluation improve our BOP? So far you will get half the marks because you only speak about 1 point, which is increasing our exports. So same thing Shirisha says is a deliberate downward adjustment to the currency. It will cause exports to increase, and as she said, there imports to decrease, right? So yeah, imports will also decrease because again, our currency now has less value. We can't buy as much imports as we like because we're getting less goods. So our currency is now less valuable, and all of this here will cause the balance of payment deficit or the trade deficit to shrink, right? And we can answer both of these questions for good measure. Let's start with one. Define each of the following: economics and money cost. What is economics? So yes, economics is two things we can put for these 2 points. It's a social science, that studies people, right? And how, and the other thing is it's a study of scarcity, of how we are allocating our scarce or limited resources to satisfy unlimited wants, right? So those are two salient points you should know. And what is our money cost, right? Our money cost is basically the out of pocket, the actual cost that incurred when buying a good, right? It's the private cost, if you will, as well, right? When we did external benefits and external costs, we would have looked at private costs. Money cost is the private cost. It's the actual cost incurred from purchasing a good or service. What are the 3 main sectors in an economy? Again, it's an easy question. Let's don't waste time. Primary, secondary, tertiary. Explain the difference between increasing opportunity costs and constant opportunity costs. This is where I'll throw it back to you and let you answer this for me. Right? I would personally throw in a diagram to aid my discussion, but it's just me. Let me hear what you have to say. Maybe the diagram can confuse you even more, but let me hear what you have to say for this one. As I said, personally, I would have just included two curves to aid my discussion. This is an increasing, and this is a constant opportunity cost, or a linear, shown by a linear line, and this is what a concave, right? A concave line. So let me hear what else you can say. Right, and additionally, you might have to show some points, right? And just label this good A, or point A and B, good X and Y, right? And maybe the same thing, or given the context of this question, man, I don't think they would all it up, but it's good to know your points, right? So again, as Maya said here correctly, increasing opportunity costs refers to when the cost given up to produce another, when the cost given up to produce another unit of the other good increases, right? That is correct. You can also indicate it is shown on the PPC by a concave opportunity cost. Whereas on the linear curve, whereas on the constant opportunity cost, uh, the cost given up, or the amount given up to produce the other good, remains the same, shown by a linear or straight line PPC, right? Some other answers I have: increasing opportunity cost means for each additional unit of goods produced and increase. Okay, yeah. And constant imply that all resources are equal. Right, you might want to add Karina at the end there, so the cost remains the same when producing more of either resources. Zayn says increasing opportunity cost means as we continue to produce more of a certain good, it costs us more to keep producing. And constant opportunity cost is when the opportunity cost remains the same and doesn't increase or decrease. Right? They call the part with depending on the good. So you guys know what it is about. Describe the impact on the PPC when the following occurs. Again, this might be one you might want to draw the curve for sure, right? So the impact on the PPC when there are 2 points. There's heavy unemployment. Let's start there. When there is heavy unemployment, what point are we at? And tell me in relation to the curve as well as what you actually think happened. So I have an answer that says we shift to the left. Tell me if you agree with that or not, but I will give you my explanation just now. But I'm waiting on yours, as I said. The curve will shift inwards. No, Zane, we are not shifting inwards or nothing. Sharisha answered it correct here. When there is heavy unemployment, it means that the point is somewhere inside because we are not utilizing all of our resources. And you might want to, again, just draw a curve to show what you mean. Say at point A, we're producing inside. And part 2, large scale migration occurs in developed countries. Large scale migration occurs. So they should have specified and say emigration or immigration, because are we the country they are migrating from? Right? If we are the country, yeah, correct. It's not worded the best, because if we are the country, um, the persons coming to the PPC will shift out, right? If they migrated to our country because we getting more people. However, if we are the country that the persons are leaving from and going to another country, our PPF will shift inward, right? So it's not worded the best, so I'll give you guys that one. Draw a diagram of the PPC. What do you mean explain it from both point of view? This is what I just did. I'm saying if we are the country getting the persons. Oh yeah, in this specific case, since they didn't thing it properly, or I don't know if it's around our paper, I would have explained it in both cases. In this specific case, right? To be safe. So E, draw a diagram of the PPC and label it to show increase in opportunity cost. Again, okay, so it's a good thing we didn't draw it up here, but I'm just go through this quickly. BOP, increase in opportunity costs. You might want to start off by saying increase in opportunity costs has a concave curve. And if we are producing two goods, X and Y, so let's say to give up at point A, we get in this amount of units of good X and Y. And if we want more amount of units of good X, as you can see, right? As you can see here, sorry, not more amount of good X. If we want more amount of good Y, this small increase in of good Y, we have to give up increasing amount of good X. So this is how this opportunity cost works. To get more of another good, in this case good Y, we have to give up more of the other good, which is good X, right? So that is just that. Let's save some time. Now I'll move on to define PES for me, price elasticity of supply. So this paper has everything, man. These old papers got everything. They got some demand and supply questions. They got some elasticity questions here, and we got some market structures in. So we get in all of our revision in all in all. So price elasticity of supply. Right? I would distinctly look at the I would distinctly look at, and let's deform in my definition as I was going to say. So PS is the responsiveness or measures the responsiveness of quantity supply to a change in price, right? It's measured by the formula percentage change in QS, Maria, not QD, over a percentage change in price, right? So three characteristics of a perfectly competitive market. Three characteristics of a perfectly competitive market. And I think I can use this opportunity here after you list it. Sorry, two other types of market structure other than perfect competition. Oligopoly, monopoly, monopolistic. I see someone here has monopolistic and monopoly. That is the same thing, right? You need to include competition or else it's monopolistic and monopoly is the same thing, right? So just something to note. It's a good point. We can make it now. Excuse a little noise in the background. Explain the difference between an increase in supply and an increase in quantity supply. That might be a good time too to draw a curve. Well, let me hear you. So quantity supply. An increase in the quantity supply is the supply that is currently available. No, that is incorrect. An increase in the supply is an increase in the producer's willingness to produce that good or service in, I would say, greater quantity. Start the answer. Well, no. To produce more. Yeah, let me leave it as that. To produce that good or service. While an increase in the quantity supply, our producers are willing to sell more of the quantity. It is confusing a little bit, right? Again, you can start off by saying an increase in supply is just an overall increase in the total supply of goods on the market, right? This is shown on the curve where the supply curve shifts to the right, right? Increasing the total goods supplied or produced on a market, which can be for several reasons, right? Whereas an increase in the quantity supply is as a result of a change in a higher price, right? Remember, this is our price. It's a response to a change in the price and the producer's willingness to increase their quantity supplied to meet this higher price because, again, they're trying to make higher profits, right? So that is how the graphs would aid you to get your answer if you were to slip up a bit, but you guys need to work on your explanation a bit there. Again, an increase in supply is an increase in the um, total supply on the market or the total production in the market, whereas an increase in quantity supply is a response to an increase in a price change producing more, right? Explain two factors that may affect the supply of a good. Two factors that affect the supply of a good. Two factors that increase the supply of a good. I'd like you to know the things that I explain, but yes, your points are correct. We have cost of production, technology, subsidies, climate. There's also the gestation period, number of consumers, how that is a demand thing, right? Number of producers could be a point, right? Number of producers. Anyway, so you need to explain those points. Cost of production, Maria says, if the cost of production is high, then firms are likely to produce less and vice versa. So there's the explanation for just cost of production. When it's high, we produce less. When it's low, we produce more. Again, don't confuse cost of production with price. So yes, we all got in explaining cost of production, but what about the other points? Technology, subsidies, climate, gestation period, right? How do the number of producers on the market, how can we explain those? Right? So Zane says if there's an increase in technology in production, it means we can produce, we are more efficient than labor, and we can produce more. Sharisha said a similar thing. So yeah, that's correct. More technology we use in the production process, the higher supply can be. For the other point, subsidies, again, subsidies make cost of production cheaper, so they encourage supply, right? Beyond subsidies, we got, as we said, a number of producers. If there are a lot of producers on the market, obviously the supply will be high, right? Because they are able to produce more. And there's climate, right? When there's poor climate, especially for agriculture product, we know that the yields will be poor and they will be producing less, right? So climate generally causes or affects supply of a good in the regard, because we can't produce more if the climate is bad. And yeah, Those are some points. Describe how cigarettes can contribute to market failure. How the market for cigarettes contribute to market failure. So first, you need to identify what type of market failure is this. I would even define what is market failure because it's for 5 marks, right? So this is a steep question to begin with. So you need to bring out a lot of points and tell me what type of market failure does cigarette fall under. Because earlier in another question, we looked at the different types of market failures. And if I'm to remind you, the market failures are the lack of provision of public goods, right? Imperfect knowledge, right? Over provision of the merit goods, under provision of merit goods. We have positive and negative externalities, and market failure relating to monopolies and imperfect competition. So tell me which one of those do the market for cigarette contribute to or fall under? Right, so I would start off by saying again, market failure is when it's the inefficient operations of market, whether it be allocative inefficiency or productive inefficiency, right? Yeah, education is a merit good. If you said it come from multiple choice. So again, cigarettes will fall under the merit goods. So the type of market failure cigarettes contribute to is the over provision of the merit goods. And remember, we can go on to further state the merit goods are goods that we consume more of because we are unaware that they are bad for us. And you can further go on to state they emit or they give off negative externalities, right? They have a spillover effect on a third party which does not want to be in this transaction, such as when you smoke cigarettes, you give off secondhand smoking, resulting in persons getting cancer and what's not.